I guess I'm Red Noodle and I'm not doing so good. I'm pissed and I just need to let it out. So I just got done with the P4 conference for, what do they call them? Support personnel? I don't know what they call them. They have Saturdays conference, which was designed for counselors and therapists and support people, and survivors could go as well. So I went and I took my husband because he's my support person, and I also paid a lot of money for my ticket, and I paid a lot of money for my husband's ticket, and I went to the free art show last night, but they moved the location and it was 20 extra miles away, so we decided just to do it at home on Zoom instead, and that was frustrating, but finally they got it working at some point, and trauma triggering things were shown, and it upset a lot of people, and the situation was not really handled delicately, and there was laughter and chaos and disorganization, and it really was unsettling last night. But we pushed through it and we went to bed really late last night. I think that was the last video you just watched, because that was the last video we made, was about how triggered we were. Not triggered from the video, but just the anxiety that we had building up for going to this conference and not sure what that was going to be like. And it's been a while since we've been out of the house. I mean, since quarantine, but even before COVID, we've had some issues leaving the house and whatnot. So it was just a really big day for us. And we woke up early. We only had 4 hours of sleep or whatever. And I even made the shirt, or we made the shirt. I don't know how you call it. But basically, every color of our rainbow is represented. I got some noodles on this sleeve and some rainbows on that sleeve, and I got the website address on the back. And we wrote it on the opposite side of a white t-shirt just because it's washable marker, so it'll wash off. But we just wanted to represent our system in case anybody was curious to know who we were. And we went with positive attitude. We were doing our best to stay upbeat, but it was nerve-wracking. And we get in and they're not ready for us. We arrived at 7:45. They were still out in the parking lot when we arrived, and they probably didn't actually start the conference until about 8:30, and it was supposed to start at 8. And even the part with the Dr. Patina was late. It was supposed to start at 9, and he started on time, and all those people on Zoom got to listen to him talk, because he was talking over Zoom wherever he was at, but everybody in the conference room couldn't hear him, and they were trying to figure out how to get the speakers to work. And my husband, being an IT guy sitting right next to me, was really irritated, and I was irritated too. Irritated because he's irritated because you got too many cooks in the kitchen, too many chiefs trying to fix the problem up there at the front of the room. And I don't know what the heck was wrong. I mean, some say it was the wrong cord for the wrong speaker. Some was saying the Zoom settings needed to be changed to the correct speaker. It didn't matter. It wasn't organized. It wasn't done on time. It wasn't thought through. It wasn't handled in a way that made you feel like you got your money's worth. Like right off the bat, it was already disorganized, and that just really unsettled us. And because we couldn't do anything about it, just except for stress in our seat, it caused a lot of stomach upset. It caused a lot of shaking, caused a lot of like twitchiness, and yeah, we were very unsettled. And so I leaned over to my husband and said, do you think it can help them? Do you think it can fix it for them? Because obviously you're the smart guy and those guys don't know what they're doing. You know, I'm trying to encourage him because he's a helpful IT guy. And he's like, heck no, I ain't going up there. It's a Mac. He doesn't like Macs. He doesn't like Apple products. And he's a PC Microsoft guy, right? And so he stayed away for at least 20 minutes. He did not do anything. And then the leader of the conference, Kathy, her daughter, I think she could tell that I was upset or something. She looked straight up at me and she says, "Do you know how to change the Zoom settings?" And she looked straight at me. I must have said something. One of us noodles must have said something about Zoom settings. And I go, and I look over at my husband like, "Dude, you know more than I do about Zoom. You know that you know more about computer settings than I do. Even if it is a Mac, he would know more than I would know." And I just kind of look at him like, please don't make me try to figure this out, because she's asking me, which I really wasn't. She really wasn't asking me, but they were up there struggling for a long time with all those cooks in the kitchen. They couldn't figure it out. And that's an expression. They weren't actually cooks in the kitchen. Okay, so he goes up there and he's got one person in particular that's aggravating the crap out of him because she kept talking about a chord that's not right. A chord that's not right. He says, "Just give it to me anyway." And he shows her that it's the right chord. And he shows everybody that this is how you do it, and this is how you do it, and this is how you do it. Okay, and then do this. And then they figured it out eventually. I don't know if he really helped or not, but I was just beside myself, disassociating and just doing as best I could as Red Noodle, trying not to be fronting. But I was fronting. I was fronting and I was aggravated and I couldn't help it. I had to front because I don't know why. I don't know why I had to front, but that's who I was. And that's what I was all about today. Was we wanted to enjoy ourselves, but I guess we were the strongest ones to handle it because everybody else in the system was freaking out and crying and very much upset. So I did the best to handle it. And of course, the way I'm handling it is by being angry and disappointed and upset, because that's a lot better than crying in public, right? That's a lot better than screaming in public, right? So I'm holding it all in. I'm angry and disappointed and whatnot. And finally they get it working, and we missed the first half an hour of Dr. Patina's stuff. And everybody in the room, you can tell, is a little agitated, but none of us are confronters. None of us are, I guess, none of us have a noodle inside of us that was yelling about it. I mean, we all kept ourselves in check for the most part. And the ones that couldn't keep ourselves in check were one of the cooks up front in the kitchen. So, I'm moving along. Dr. Patina was helpful. Dr. Patina talked about some things that Kathy talks differently about, like integration and whatnot, integration being the goal, and we're like, but he had some other good things to say, and by the time he's done, it's time for lunch or what. He had some Q&A, and that was helpful, and we colored to calm ourselves down. We were coloring a lot. We've never colored so much in one sitting before, but that's what soothed us for the rest of the day, is coloring. And we raised our hand, and husband would look over like, "What are you doing?" Like, he hates attention being called towards him. He doesn't like being in the center of attention. He doesn't like to be in the front of the classroom. He doesn't like to be, and he's always tried to show his displeased self with us as if we're supposed to follow his lead. And usually we do, but today this is all about our d.i.d. OSDD experience, and we want to raise our hand, and we want to talk, and we want to contribute, and we want to make suggestions, and we want to make observations, and we didn't talk about the whole chaos. We left all of that stuff out the window. As far as we were concerned, it was done and over with. And then after lunch, there was absolutely no structure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was structure up until lunch. It was better. It was better before lunch, but after lunch, it was absolutely no structure. And it was just a free-for-all, ask your questions, and the whole time she was more concerned and aiming her focus and aiming her eyeballs mostly to the Zoom audience. And I didn't know how this was going to be handled. We wondered about this last night. We wondered, how is she going to be able to divide her attention and her time amongst two different groups? Because she can't stare at the computer the whole time. She's got a whole room full of people. And she can't stare at the room full of people because you got paid. People who paid to be there on Zoom also want attention, right? And then you've got people in the room who are asking questions, but people at home can't hear what the questions are because there's no microphone. And then you've got the Zoom people asking questions, and we can barely hear what their questions are. So we're listening to her talk to the Zoom people, I think, in my opinion, was more so than the people in the room. And maybe Zoom people would disagree. I don't even know if we're going to post this, but we just have to get it out. We just have to talk about how upsetting it was so we can let it go. And we took another break later, and still disorganized. And every time there was a question brought up, because it was part of the agenda of things that they were going to talk about, she acted surprised, like, well, what do you want to know about body memories? Or what do you want to know about old memories? Or what do you want to know about the types of alters and disassociation? Like, what do you want to know? And it's like, don't you have something prepared? Don't you have something like on an agenda of things you were going to talk about and key points you were going to say? And then towards the end, she's like, I got 15 pages of your questions, so let's go ahead and get started before the end of the day, and we'll see how many we can get to. She says, I will try to talk about I will hit all the questions of people who will not be here tomorrow. Because remember, again, Saturday was for the support people, and survivors could attend, and Sunday was designed for the survivors. And the questions that she was going to answer first are the people that weren't going to be here tomorrow. And my husband and I signed up for both days. So, of course, our question probably wouldn't get answered today. And she says she's going to look at the questions, but instead of doing that, instead of being true to that and going with that, she asks the Zoom people, well, okay, who's not going to be here tomorrow? What are your questions? And again, another free-for-all. And she did the whole free-for-all thing with their questions. I don't even think I got to ask my question. Maybe I did get to I don't even know anymore. I disassociated so much back and forth. It was so triggering to be there and not be honored and not be stable. It wasn't a stable, structured environment, and that's what we needed. So she never got to the questions. She never got to the questions on the 15 pages that she had. She only answered the questions of the Zoom people. In my opinion, I could be completely remembering this wrong. I do that sometimes, so I can't say for certain, but that's what it felt like. It felt like she honored the Zoom people more so than anybody. I mean, I know she addressed some people, and then she had to repeat everybody's question that was talking inside the conference room, which probably aggravated her a little bit, which is why she probably didn't call on us very often, because it was easier just to talk to the Zoom people. I don't know. It really didn't feel very validating. It didn't feel very validating to be there. There was a couple of moments that she really tapped into some trauma holders, and we bawled our eyes out in a healthy way. And it was so very validating in that moment. I can't talk about that because I don't really remember exactly what she talked about or what noodle she triggered, but I was present enough to know that they really needed to hear that. Maybe we'll talk about that another time when they're around. But basically the whole day we felt that we would be better served if we just would have stayed home here in Phoenix instead of going to the Phoenix conference tomorrow. So we're tossing the idea back and forth in our heads, and some noodles agree and some noodles disagree, and we don't want to do it because we fought tooth and nail to be able to go, but then we've got noodles that want to please husband and not make him go tomorrow so he could do some of his things that he wants to do, and he doesn't have to waste his whole day off again attending something that he really has no interest in. He was not a supportive person during our struggle today. He did not comfort us. He did not put his hand on our back. He did not hold our hand. He did not hug. Nothing. He did not speak to us except for to, shh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, we almost felt like we had to stay super, super quiet. Like we couldn't speak up. We had to not cry. We had to be on our best behavior. It felt like church. Like it felt like going to church with dad. It really was really controlled and triggering. And he probably would say opposite. He probably would say I'm exaggerating, or I'm understanding it wrong, or isn't he supportive because you took his whole day off and he showed up? And even though he's silent, he was not supportive. I'm drawing page after page after page, and I tried showing him one of my art things, and he goes, shh, I'm trying to listen. And I'm like, I'm trying to share with you some of my art. I mean, they're not talking to us anyway. They're talking to their Zoom people. I mean, I'm trying not to be jealous and irritated about it, but I was. I mean, how do you have a conference full of people and do it in a even Steven capacity? I think everybody should get a chance to have a turn to speak and have a chance to turn and ask their questions. Oh, that was another thing. This morning, she was waiting for Zoom thing to start at 9, right? When she could have been testing speakers. But that whole half an hour between 8:30 and 9, we're all BSing around, just listening to her talk to everyone randomly in the conference room, not the Zoom people, and she's talking to everyone on the right side of the room, asking them who are they, what are their names, where are they from, where did you know, how long have you been a system? And she wasn't really structured in that either, because there was a lot of back and forth and talk, and it was not very consistent of a conversation. And she said she was going to start on this side of the room and work her way to the other side of the room. Well, of course, at 9 o'clock, do you think she ever got to the other side of the room? No. And we were on the left side of the room, and she never got to us. She never asked us our name. We were prepared. We were ready to talk. We wanted to share. But no, nobody on the left side of the room got to introduce themselves. They never got to say anything. They never got to say, hi, everybody, my name's Crystal, or anything like that. I brought my supportive husband, who definitely wasn't supportive. So you could see my frustration has a lot of multi-level noodle upsets. We've got the husband thing. We've got the, feeling left out thing. We've got the Zoom thing. We've got the... So then, the very, 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 very end of this thing today, they say, okay, well, anybody that's not going to be here tomorrow, did we answer all your questions? And pretty much everyone's ready to go and no one's saying anything. And they're like, okay, well, for those of you going to be there tomorrow, you have the Zoom link, right? And then they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, and whoever showed up today, you have the Zoom link too, so you can come tomorrow. I think that's what they said. I'm pretty sure that's what they said. That's what I heard. And I'm just like, what? You mean I paid for today and I paid for tomorrow? Twice for me and my husband? And the people that didn't pay for tomorrow get to come tomorrow for free? Because all they need is the Zoom link? And they have the Zoom link? You mean you didn't have to pay money for the Zoom link? You mean I didn't have to pay money for tomorrow? I could have just shown up tomorrow with the Zoom link? It makes me want to scream. It's like, well, that's a free-for-all. That's a free-for-all except for me and my husband, who had to pay full price. Or maybe not full price. I think I got a discount. But it's just, as someone with the life that I've had, I need stability, I need structure, I need dependability, I need structure. Did I say that? I need someone to show me the clear boundaries and the clear guidelines, and not be so carefree with my feelings and carefree with my expectations and carefree with my anxieties, And I think she's really knowledgeable, and I think she's got a lot of good stuff. I don't know her as a therapist. I honestly don't. But the couple of times that I asked her questions, I really felt dismissed. I really felt like in one incident, there was a therapist who said something about, well, I have one whose altar was really negative, and they were trying to self-harm or something like that, and now they've gone away. And this therapist obviously didn't know much about d.i.d. because she said something like that, and Kathy's all, well, I don't think they went away. They don't really go away. You either help develop that altar so that they have better coping behaviors, or they're going to be back. If you think it's gone away, it hasn't gone away. And she's talking. About 10 minutes later, I got my hand up the whole time. I've got my hand up waiting. And she keeps looking at me like, okay, I'll get to you. And she keeps talking to the Zoom people. And finally she gets to me and I go, I think it's really important, since you have a lot of therapists, you know, listening in, support people. And even as a system, it's really important that we don't call any of them negative. We don't call them wrong. We don't call them bad. We don't call them by these negative words, because they're not going to ever live up to any other expectation if we do. And she's like, well, I don't mean it like that. And I'm like, I wasn't talking about what Kathy said. This other therapist needs to know that. And so she was like, well, I don't mean to, like, you know what I mean. Like, she totally wrote me off as if she's defending herself. I don't really understand what she was upset about. Or I'm not upset, but, you know, defending, because I would think that she would agree, because when you're a child, let's say you're a child and you're 5 and you've got a twin brother that's 5. And if you're a child that's 5 and your twin brother is 5, but your brother always does everything wonderful, and they say, oh, this is my good son and this is my bad son. Don't you think the bad son is always going to live up to that label? Right? So you don't call any noodles or any altars bad or negative, because they'll never have any room to grow or improve. Find out what's going on beneath the behaviors. There is no such thing as an evil person. There's only behaviors that are evil. There's only behaviors that have pain attached to them, trauma of their own, misunderstandings of what's really going on. So if anyone's evil and they're willing to get help, dig underneath that evil altar and find out what the heck is going on there. And instead of her understanding what I meant, she kind of defends it and blows it off like it's not a big deal that they said the word negative. And so I pipe up again, because I'm in the middle of that space where she's engaging with me, and I say, what I mean is when you have a child who's been told they're bad, they'll always live up to being bad. So create a opportunity for this negative altar to live up to some other kind of label, such as this is the one that's hurt really bad, or this is the one that's traumatized, or this is the one that's holding all the pain for us, you know, stuff like that. And that way they can start to work on the pain or work on the trauma or work on the behavior itself, not so much the label, not so much just being labeled as the negative one that's gone away for a while. That's just my 2 cents. So I am really struggling. I'm on my way home with my husband, and I don't want to talk to him, not unless he wants to talk to me, which obviously he doesn't, but then he forces himself to talk to me because I think he can tell that I'm upset. I talk to him a little bit, and then he doesn't say anything. And then finally I say to him, you know, Red Noodles is really upset. And he's like, why? Why's that? And I go, well, I think she has a right to be, and I don't want to tell her she's wrong, and I'm afraid if we tell you why she's upset, then you're just going to tell her she's wrong. You're going to find a reason to disagree with her, because he does. He's like, he's Mr. Lawyer. It doesn't matter which side we're on. We could tell him what he wants to hear, and he would find a way to argue it. So what does he do? He listens. No, I won't. And then finally he listens. He listens the whole thing. I rant all the way home about everything I was upset about with this whole freaking meeting thing. And it wasn't terrible. I would give it a 50 out of 100. It wasn't terrible. There was good parts to it, okay? But yeah, 50 out of 100 is not my idea of how much I wanted to get out of this. But what I'm saying is and at the end, we're going to have a survey. And then there was absolutely no survey. What do you mean survey? I don't know what a survey. What do you mean survey? I don't know. Let's survey the room. It's like, what? Why are you guys making jokes about a survey? Don't you want people to tell you how your freaking thing was? Why weren't you prepared with a survey? You said you're going to have a survey. Who said you were going to have a survey? Why don't you have a survey? At least tell people, well, we don't have our survey prepared. We will email it out to you guys. Please make sure that you click on the link for the survey that will be coming. You could have said that, but no, you didn't. But whatever. So anyways, I get all done telling my whole spiel to my husband in the car. And I think all he said was, I said, I think Red has every right to be upset, but that's just what we think. And he goes, Yeah. No, nothing after that. No anything. No how are you, or how anything else, or any other conversation about Red Noodle or about the conference. He didn't want to talk about it. And he didn't honor anything else that was coming up for us. He didn't honor any. I told him I really wanted to show him my art. I really want to talk to him about my stuff. I really want to show him what I've been doing, what I've been discovering. And I even said something like that. I said, I really want to talk to somebody about my noodles when I'm in a good mood, not just when I'm in a bad mood. And he's like, silent. We get all the way home. I talk about buying a white shirt so I could do this again tomorrow, but on a better shirt. And he's like, yeah, I'll probably go with you. We get home, we go inside. He starts his 3D printer up again, and I haven't heard from him since. So, am I upset with my husband? Heck yeah. Am I upset with the Kathy lady and the whole P4 conference thing? Yeah. Would I recommend it? No. Not pay money for it anyway. It should be freaking free, if you ask me. And I also heard that she charges $40 a month to be in a forums. It better be freaking good if you're going to be paid $40 a month. It better be like way better than any Facebook group or anything you've ever had. I mean, seriously, $40 a month? That's more than my freaking gym membership. And I was going to Curves, and that was $39 a month. Like, I really don't understand people who make money off of a forum when you're not even freaking providing any service in there. You're not coaching anyone, you're not helping anyone, you're not doing anything. Yeah, I guess they have a moderator that makes sure things are, but you don't pay them $40 a month per client. Why should it be so freaking expensive? I'm not doing it. I ain't paying for it. So anyways, I'm just in a bitter mood. Bitter red. That's who I am. I'm bitter red today. I'm bitter red, and tomorrow I really hope that I don't have to front, because I really would like the rest of the noodles to get something out of it. I really would like the rest of the noodles to enjoy it, and so I really hope that they'll give me a Xanax and go to sleep. Or I don't know what I'm supposed to do tomorrow. I don't want to be out. I don't want to be out pissed off and everything. So maybe I will take a Xanax tomorrow, because I was not happy. I was not happy from the get-go, and I did my best to bite my tongue, which I did. I did my best to bite my tongue. We did really good, but now I need to let it all out. I am going to chillax for the rest of the day. I am out. Somebody else confront. We're going to let Purple confront. And maybe I will show you my artwork one day. Alright, I'm sure I edited out this a bunch, but if I hadn't edited it, it would have been 28 minutes long already, so you're welcome. Alright, well, I'll talk to you later. Don't do the P4 unless you can get it for free. That's just my opinion. Talk to you later. Bye.